And welcome to another episode of Strangers in the Alps, a slasher podcast where every week
You almost had it.
we try and have a lucid, intelligent conversation about thrillers, slashers, and horror movies.
And just, hey, have you seen that movie?
And sometimes we're successful,
But most
and
of the
sometimes
time,
we get off track and it's wild and wacky. I'm Dan.
I'm Travis.
Sam.
And I'm Man.
Hi, man.
Hey, man.
Hello.
Hey, man.
What's up, dog? So what are we talking about?
Let's talk about the movie that we watched. Travis, you've got a back of the VHS. You want to read us the? That's
a heavy
don't
VHS
drop your
brick.
VHS there, Travis.
Don't stand so close to me. So, a college student suspects a series of...
Why are you holding your hand like it's a microphone when you actually have a microphone in front of you? That was whacked, man.
It's part of an urban legend. You have to have the double microphone.
Oh, yeah, there he goes.
Okay.
Once again.
So,
ahead and read
a college student suspects a series of bizarre deaths are connected to certain urban legends.
Is that it?
That's it. That's all the movie is.
That's
and that
simple.
movie is...
Urban legend.
And before we get into the movie,
Yeah, let's do it.
any of you remember back in the days of MySpace when someone would have like a subject line that would say vacation photos or like hanging out with friends? So you'd click on it, you'd click on their post, and it'd be like, hello, you've been contacted by, if you do not send this
Yes,
to
yes, yes, yes.
13
Chainmail?
people
Yes.
with the subject line.
Oh my God.
Or it'll be like, little Tommy grew up abused by his parents and lived in the
remember that
closet.
one.
If you do not post this in 5 minutes, little Tommy will break out of his closet.
If 13 of your friends don't repost. So MySpace is... No, I'm kidding.
No, I remember MySpace, but how long was MySpace actually a thing? Like in months
4
or years?
High school for me.
I would say, well, for me, I think 8th grade. I'd
wait.
say maybe like 2014, 2015. I think MySpace, Facebook kind of was hitting colleges in like 20... I think it started to get big
I was
with
still
in
in
like
high school when
2017.
Facebook came around,
Yeah,
so
'cause I was in
2008.
11th grade.
I think you
What are
mean
you talking about?
2007.
2007.
2017.
2007.
I don't think so. Nathan would have been 17. He was already in Facebook by at least 3-4 years.
I don't think so.
Let's look it
No,
up
for
because I
me it
think
was-
you're way off. Way off.
No, for
Molly
me...
was like 13 when she was on MySpace. She's 31 now.
I'm talking about Facebook.
I know. I'm saying, but Facebook took over MySpace. There was no gap between MySpace and Facebook where there was no social media.
I know. So I would say like...
Look it up. Somebody look it up.
Well, I mean, but it was...
It's worth it. You're
I-
off. I'm telling you, you're way
I
off
don't know. I
on your
remember
years.
getting my first Facebook in 2008.
Yeah, it was like
And I
2007.
had
Yeah, I did
MySpace
2009.
well before that.
Yeah.
In 2008, Facebook surpassed MySpace as the most visited
Right,
social media
surpassed.
website.
When did Facebook start?
Oh, 2004.
But here's the thing,
But
though.
that's when it was the Facebook.
And that's
dropped the
and
Yeah,
that,
I'm
but
pretty sure my kids both had Facebook in 2004,
you
2005.
could not, because back in 2004 it was you had to have
You have to be in
Oh,
yeah,
college.
you had to
College,
have a
I-
college. You had to have a college email that was
Yeah.
very restricted.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, they probably heard about it, but no, it started to get big in like 2007, 2006.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Anyway.
Anyways, we're not talking
So-
about that now.
Well, it was
So,
fun, though.
It was.
Did,
It was
off
did
track.
anyone have any urban legends?
Pre-thoughts? Oh.
Urban legends growing
Oh,
up?
so we've decided the movie's called Urban Legend.
The movie is Urban
Oh,
Legend.
there we go. Okay, I wasn't sure. So we're going to share
Or so
our
the story
our
goes.
memories of urban
Or
legends
just
as
campfire
kids, or
stories,
what?
something you heard growing up, like maybe that stuff that was not mentioned in the movie Urban
Yeah,
Legend.
Dan. Any scary cave paintings or smoke signals?
Well, they did say
I was just thinking about that, actually. Well, when the Titanic was sinking, and I was getting on that lifeboat,
well, when they started doing when they first started doing daylight savings time.
exactly.
No,
When the first daylight was saved.
We actually, I had a very weird elementary school because there was actually a couple in mine.
couple of elementary
Not a
schools?
couple, but a few. Like, there was one.
Well, I knew you'd have some because you're the one that
I'm
asked the
going to
question.
time this first off.
You can't wait to tell us
I
about
think
your
this
urban
was
legend.
straight
This is
up-
part of the
30
movie, though.
No, I think
What?
this. I
It's
think
so
this was
chaotic.
straight up someone just kind of making fun of like Candyman and Bloody Mary and tried to like merge them into one. I think it started as a joke, probably, and someone took it serious because there was a legend that at our school there was not Candyman was not just real. Bloody Mary was not just real. There was also the Ice Cream Man.
What?
This is going back to your ice cream truck story.
No, this is going back to where someone said that like one time at like our school they were having some kind of like fair or like gathering, and there was like an ice cream guy there, and then like some kids or something like happened with like his ice cream truck, and it like took off and like crashed into the bathroom and like exploded. And I don't know, you did something, he'd go after you or something like that. We had that one, and then we had the story about like, so there was like a garden in our school, then there was like the whole like the garden's haunted, and then like sometimes if you go there like at night there'll be like a portal and it'll like suck you into like another dimension or something.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, so that was what happened at my elementary school. And then
those I've never heard either one of those. I feel like urban legends are things that everybody has heard.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just talking.
Those I've never
I
heard.
was just saying
rumors.
Well, no, I was just saying maybe like local.
I feel like you just made those
I was
up
saying maybe
right
like
now.
local ones that people had never maybe heard of, like small ones. Like, I mean, this is more like you said, like rumors. Like everyone.
I have one.
Yeah.
It's more of like a Thai thing. It's this way back in the day, this woman had drowned her kids, I believe.
Sorry.
And then
Please interrupt her.
Please interrupt me interrupting her.
okay. So then at one point I don't remember because I was so afraid because she would kind of like half of her body was gone and it's just her intestines that's like hanging out, just dangling.
That's fun.
And she's floating around like near the lake, and if you come across her, she'll drag you into the lake or something.
See, they
Now,
had
where's the urban legend part?
no.
Because I think that's all true, isn't it?
They
Yeah,
had
you
no.
read the news.
There's also too like the like more Spanish word. It's similar with La Lorena.
Yeah.
I said that so white.
La
I'm sorry.
Lorena.
Is
That's
that like
the-
carne asada?
La
That's
Lorena.
the Travis Reese coming out.
La Lorena Macarena. All right, I'm done.
Jennifer, are you hearing this?
Go ahead, Frank. Do you
your
have
boyfriend?
one? I actually thought of one.
We definitely had Bloody Mary. That was a big one when I was a
Bloody
kid.
Mary is universal, but I feel like all the Bloody
She's too
Mary stories
popular.
are
No, that was
different.
Warner Brothers that
But
did the movie.
I think Bloody Mary's stories are all different, though.
What was yours?
I don't really remember the specifics of it. I just remember like being at camp in the summer, the sleepaway camp, and talking about Bloody Mary in the cabin over there. And, you know, she was like, she hacked up her parents, and then she went insane, and she walks around with a bloody hatchet, and she's still looking for revenge. And
I think that's like
That's
every summer camp has the like. I remember when I went to like a sleepaway camp one year, they had where they said that like on the other side of the mountain was like a mental institution.
Yeah.
And some guy escaped with a chainsaw and
you
a
always
hatchet.
have that guy. That dude's everywhere.
Just like Frank, you always had the guy that said his uncle worked for Nintendo.
Yes, we actually in elementary there was a kid who said that his dad worked in prison, and like he knew a guy who basically worked in the block where Leatherface was kept
Right,
because it was a real event and stuff. That I remember that. I remember Bloody Mary for sure. And then there was I think I told this story before in a previous episode about the decapitated body in the school bathroom with a
No.
floating head.
No.
I think I
you
did.
did. You told it before in a podcast.
I think it was in the Texas Chainsaw
Might have
Massacre
been,
episode.
yeah.
But there was those, and then there was this like rumor that went on for like a year or two in our neighborhood that there was a guy that would come out at night dressed as Michael Myers, and he would like stalk people if he saw them walking around in the neighborhood. Those are the only ones that I remember. You know, that aren't like the popular, like, oh,
The local,
you know, yeah, like more localized, yeah.
When I was in high school, there was a place it was a lake called White Rock Lake. And it was a very popular place to go parking with your date.
And watch the submarines.
And you would, that's probably what you would do. But the rest of us made out.
That's
And-
what you would.
And
Okay.
so you would go. That was a popular spot to go with your date. But the story is that there was a lady of the lake, and that she had a boyfriend, and they were in love, and he was killed in a car accident, and she was so devastated that she drowned herself in the lake, and that she would come out of the lake and she would come and visit cars where people were in love, and you would know this by finding a puddle next to your car door.
That's actually really creepy.
And
Yeah, is she standing right behind?
it was like super creepy, and it was just a great story that we all knew, and we would all tell and all retell if somebody didn't know it. And so there was always that when you would go to White Rock and you would be with your date, there would always be that sort of sense that you were being watched by the Lady of the Lake.
That's a kink.
Well, if you go to Balboa Park now,
So keep working that joke.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Workshop it and bring it back next week. So yeah, those are the ones. I mean, to sort of, do we want to do any pre-thoughts about the movie?
Yeah.
I mean, I can jump in, I guess.
Yeah.
I had never heard it. This is Dan. I had never heard of this movie until the podcast.
I actually had not ever heard of this movie.
Verbatim.
I mean, literally, and I knew just from the title what it was going to be. I mean, the
Yeah.
title just
Foreshadows.
tells you exactly what the story is, and it pretty much followed the title. So
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised at all by what it was about. I was, however, I guess I'll just say this right now because I'm sure we'll talk more about this. I was surprised and impressed with how many of those urban legends I knew, and how many of them I actually thought, oh, that's an urban legend. I thought that actually really did happen. I mean, the only one that, well, we'll talk about the one that I said, wait, that was already a movie, and that's The Killers in the House. The phone calls. That was
yeah,
an
that
actual
was a
movie when a
popular one.
stranger
Yeah.
calls. That's it. Go ahead, whoever. Travis, pre-thoughts. And how old were you? This is what I'm curious about. How old were you when you saw the movie the first time? Generally, I mean, just a
Oh,
guess.
I actually didn't see this movie until 2020.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. That's recent.
Really?
Was
yeah.
it during the quarantine?
Yeah, it was during quarantine because I had my usually when
we
you're
go.
like streaming movies, you're like, you go through. I eventually got to the point where I was like, okay, what's next? And I had heard of urban legend. I'd heard of it, but I'd never seen it. And that's about it. And then one day I just watched it.
Cool.
For me, it was always on cable. So I would always see clips of it every now and then. So I think I had seen the whole movie, but just never put together. So when we were going to watch it for the podcast, I was kind of actually excited to be able to watch it in one, like,
Oh, so
run
you've
through.
never seen it like from beginning to end in
No.
one sit down?
Yeah, it's one of those things, TV Guide, and you see Urban Legends. So my mom and I would always just kind of like click on it just to waste time. But I never really knew what it was about besides the title. So
It was
yeah.
like the show you wanted to watch was coming on in like 15 minutes.
Exactly.
And you're like, okay, let's just leave
Yeah,
this
catch
on.
the
exactly.
urban legend
Yeah,
while
let's
we're
just,
waiting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Frank, how old were you the first time you saw
Oh, we have to
this,
take a drink.
this classic?
I don't remember.
I didn't watch it.
It was a while. How can I say this?
You might have told
It's
me about
not-
it, Frank.
Memorable enough to be like the moment that I watched it wasn't like this is the moment. I
Yeah.
think I kind of watched it at some point, and then I remember the before and the after, but not the when. If that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I was just curious because when I was watching the movie, it crossed my mind. I was like, I wonder what I would think right now if I were like 13 or 14
Watching this movie?
watching this movie. And that's what made me think, I wonder how old Travis, you were the one that was when he first saw the movie. And I was hoping you would say like, oh, I was 13.
30.
Because I would be very curious. Because
I was 13 going on 30.
A lot of these movies that we've seen, I think, I wonder what, like if I were like a young teenager in the movie theater with my friends watching this movie, what would I think? Versus watching it now, and that's not a pro or a con. It's just a different experience.
Yeah.
Your brain just processes differently.
Yeah,
at
your,
that age.
your,
You're more
your
impressionable.
tastes are
So when things
different.
happen, you're more likely to not critique it as much as going,
Yeah.
whoa.
Well, I mean,
Just having fun.
I still go whoa.
And,
a lot
Right.
of these
and
movies.
then I think like especially like this is I'm gonna say like a crowd pleaser. Like I think it's definitely one of those. Having if you had seen it in the theaters
It's
as
probably
a
a fun
teenager,
time.
you're probably like, "Oh, that was like the best movie ever," and then because you have so
Right.
much fun, and then you watch it later and you're like, yeah, "That was okay."
Right, but I mean, no, I think that's fair. I mean, I think just real quick, for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, very simply, it is a movie that pretty much through the journey of a serial killer, or
Oh, sorry.
our killer, who I called in my notes North Face guy because I just thought it looked like a North Face jacket.
Yeah.
And similar to like Scream or like Valentine, which we'll talk about in a second. We don't know who the killer is. They're covered up, and they're basically reenacting all these urban legends, which I'm sure we'll talk about as we go. And each person becomes a victim of an urban legend, and it's a mystery as we're trying to figure out on this college campus who is the person that's committing all these murders. And we have our heroine, and she's, the one who's kind of being targeted. Or tortured through all of this, I guess you would say, until we finally get to the
reveal.
climax and the reveal, right? And we find out
And you get
who it is.
and
That's basically the movie. Yeah,
and you get your obvious red herring right away.
You get a very. I will say, I thought the opening scene was actually really well done. I was very.
Dan,
I thought that was cool.
The opening scene stuck with me so much. Every time it's nighttime and I get into my car, I check my mirror in the back seat.
Well, you're already in your car. I would do it before you get in.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Don't tell me how to live my life.
I'm trying to help you live your life, buddy.
That opening scene and that line, "There's someone in the
with the car pulls away."
And
It's iconic.
That actor who played it, I don't know his real name. He was in the movie. Oh my gosh, that's not good. That
while
is
you
not
try
good.
to remember,
Oh my
when you
gosh.
try to remember,
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he played. I think the character's named Billy Bibbit. He plays this stuttering, oddly enough.
Yeah, the guy
Yeah,
Plays
yeah.
the young guy who slits his
Yes,
throat
yes,
at the
yes.
end, or he injects
I'm gonna
himself.
tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell your mom.
Yeah.
Are you
that-
talking about Brad Dourif?
Yes, I am. Thank you. So he was in One Flew
Chucky.
Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
And
Yes,
he
was
plays
also,
the voice
he's
of
also
Chucky.
the voice of Chucky.
Oh, that's
Oh, really?
cool.
And he was Grima Wormtongue in the Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
That's why he looked familiar to me.
I just thought it was interesting because in Cuckoo's Nest he stuttered, and in this he stuttered.
It's
I
called-
thought, does this guy actually
Maybe
stutter?
he just has to stutter.
No, because Chucky doesn't stutter.
No, I know, but it just
Unless
thought it
it's
was
low on batteries.
weird that he was stuttering in this.
Oh my God.
You know? Okay, whatever.
I just have to give a warning to
Funny
everyone.
guy.
We have decided to not do a podcast every week. It's one every other week. So I feel like Travis is just.
I think
He's
it's,
going to save up way more jokes.
I think it's so we can recover from having trouble.
That's
No,
what
I
it
think
is.
it's-
I've accepted it.
It's
No, you
the,
guys got it. You actually have to meet. Like, you don't tell me you guys actually meet on those days when we're not without me. You guys get a lot more done. You're productive.
What are you talking about? We don't do that. I
Yeah.
don't-
Why would we do that? That's so mean.
That's ridiculous and also
Yeah.
very
But
effective.
also, we have another podcast coming out
Possibly true.
called. Yep, whatever.
Called Travis is not
Travis.
with us.
No, Travis.
not
Travis
as
not-
strange things.
Travis not included.
So that's I'm sorry, that's the premise, and
Can I jump into
Of course.
slasher tropes really quick?
oh, I would
Yeah.
love that actually.
Within the cult opening, you get a lot of the tropes. But this one, what we were talking about, I think previously about POVs and how it's more from the killer's perspective, but this one is from the victim, which that was a nice little twist. And then
Yeah.
you get the car trouble, rain.
And
Yeah.
then even the opening, it starts out with her singing in the car.
Turn
Yeah.
around.
Which that was a
no,
Really fun.
appropriately
no,
Yeah.
which
a witty choice.
which
for-
I never understood because, okay, so like I said, I didn't see this movie till a couple years ago. So I remember growing up always watching Scary Movie 2, which rips off this scene where it's the main actress, she's singing in the car, but she's singing terribly. And then the radio stops and she goes, "Will you shut the fuck up and let me
I
sing?"
remember that one.
And then
I
that's
remember
what-
that
so
one.
I remember
Yeah, I don't
watching
remember
now
that.
Urban Legend and the scene coming on. I was like, I get it now. I didn't know that
I-
was a spoof.
I didn't connect the two actually.
Yeah, no, it's
Me neither.
100%. No, but it's no, I don't know. Like I said, and I agree, Sam. It very much. I think, and it's what we can. I think we can all agree what this movie kind of lives from. It feels very much like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, kind of like the 90s.
yeah.
Well, we'll get more into
We'll
that.
save
but
that.
yeah, I mean that's absolutely.
Yeah. I like the camera work in that cold open too.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool that the victim, her last name is Mancini. That's the name of that's the last name of the creator of Chucky. So that was an extra bit that I thought was pretty cool.
Don Mancini.
Was Chucky
Yeah.
was before this, right? It's already
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 80s.
When was Nightmare on Elm Street? I asked because of Robert Englund.
I believe that was also 80s, 84, right?
Yeah.
So he was already
Yeah, this was
Freddy.
nice.
Well established,
I
yeah.
think they had already pretty much done like 6 Nightmare on Elm Streets,
Which
before
made
this
it
one came
interesting
out.
because they tried to sort of frame him up as the killer, which
Well,
was
yeah.
which was way too obvious
That-
to buy
Ooh,
into.
that's-
But it was an interesting Robert Englund.
Oh.
It was
So
the
that
red
was-
sweater
That was
herring.
fun.
That's what I
to
was
have
saying.
It was a
That's
fun
what I was saying.
idea.
The obvious red herring was like him.
Yeah.
Oh, I collect things.
Well, they did a no, absolutely. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's it. I'm just
No, I
commenting.
think Sam was still on
Yeah,
tropes.
I just had one last one. It was the pretty girl cold open victim,
Oh, yeah.
It's,
which is very much like Scream.
yeah, Scream,
Oh, yeah.
or
Very
even
much like Scream.
Yeah.
even like Friday the 13th, the original Psycho.
Do you think if they made this movie today, that you would have the cold opening and then the credits?
That's a good question.
Because that really struck me as like, I want the cold opening just cold, and
Yeah,
then I
we
want
never-
then I want to roll the credits,
We never
showing the
have that
university
anymore.
and doing
No.
stuff like that.
I can't think of a movie that
Well,
had
I'm-
like now that had a cold opening.
If
unless you
Well,
can.
I mean,
all the Scream movies still do,
Thanksgiving.
don't they?
Thanksgiving had a cold opening.
Oh,
How
did?
happened in the beginning?
No,
Yeah.
but was it a cold opening then credits?
You're right. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I
fun.
feel like
It's a really good
I feel
cold
like
opening.
that wasn't a thing back then. I feel like back then it was like we have to do the credits first.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
had
like
then
credit
we'll
sequence
start
and
the
then-
you
story.
had your like 3-minute like okay, let's show the score, all the
Right.
credits.
I did.
and
I
then-
did like the credits in this movie. I thought it was cool just with the rain and the puddles and stuff. I thought that was just a
Yeah.
very simple but kind of cool idea to kind of
sets up the
It wasn't
mood.
boring either.
Yeah, it wasn't boring. It was quick. I felt like they got through it
Yeah.
very quick. But anyway, I just brought that up because it just struck me after the kill that I went, now we roll credits.
It struck you just like the axe struck her.
Oh,
Or I was gonna say,
I'm just wondering how the killer, we won't reveal it, survived knocking the driver's head off while it was in full speed going down the street.
Well, as
Well,
you will
that-
see,
yeah, I
they
was gonna
survive a lot
say,
of car related.
yeah.
But I also two last things about the cold open. Number one, I just found out that the actress that gets killed, she's the daughter of Natalie Wood.
Is
What?
that?
Yes.
Is that? So that's Is it Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood's kid then?
I believe so.
I
yeah,
think they were. Yeah, I think. I don't think there were any previous marriages.
Richard Gregson. She is Natasha Gregson Wagner.
There you go.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so it
And,
was.
I also thought it was kind of funny.
You can see that.
how
You can see Natalie Wood in her face for
Yeah.
sure. Absolutely.
her line reading when she's leaving. She's like, "What are you doing? No." But I feel like it was like appropriately campy.
Yeah.
Like I can't say it was bad. It's just it's part of the scene and I like it.
Yeah.
There were like a couple of genuinely funny moments. I thought. Not a lot, but there were a couple where I
Like
genuinely
it's
went,
meant to be funny, or you're
yeah,
just laughing
where I
at
went,
it.
No.
Oh, okay.
Where they actually landed a joke, and I went, okay, I would steal that because that was funny.
Yeah.
And the one that I will just throw it out now is when they realize, when they think they realize who the killer, they close it and she goes, "Yeah, you can have
Yeah,
him."
you
was
can
gonna
have him.
say
That
that.
is-
I love that
Yeah,
line.
I loved it too.
Like I
but
said,
it's-
you can have him.
It stood up. It stood out because the movie just didn't have
That many.
those
yeah.
kind of jokes in it. You know, it's like was it Jeff Goldblum in the original Jurassic Park?
Oh,
He was the one-liner guy. That was such a one-liner in that kind of movie, and I was like, we could have used a few more of these one-liners.
I think
'cause
it's-
that was
it's a-
very well placed. That
yeah,
joke.
Yeah.
I agree.
And well delivered too. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
very
Rebecca
well.
Gayheart does a really great job.
Gayheart, yeah, she's stunning. Her eyes are stunning.
She's great at being unhinged.
Yeah,
A little foreshadow.
I would agree with that. So, anything else? I mean, a lot of things, obviously. But we're
all right, everyone, thank you.
And next week.
We're past the
Well,
cold
since,
open.
since
had
we're
a-
talking about actors, like the best actor in the movie, very clearly, was Jared Leto, right? So
The
I
brooding,
always forget he's
cold
in this
brew, nitro cold brew kind of guy.
who always has his mouth open, like he doesn't know what's going on.
like me. when we're recording. He, I always forget he's in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
me too.
oh,
Didn't
yeah,
I
he's
always-
in this.
Buddy, I forgot while I was watching the movie.
Yeah. Who's this guy again?
I really forgot, and I kept looking at him going, he looks familiar. Who is
Yeah.
that?
So-
and I saw Jared Leto's name on the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just felt like a.
I think he took a few acting classes from that movie until now.
Was
Yeah.
this was right? No, yeah, this was like I think right before Requiem.
Yes,
think-
it was.
Yeah,
His best one is Requiem.
and then you should have
Probably.
Of
stopped.
all the things he's done?
Yeah.
Even more than Dallas Buyers Club?
Okay, fine. I
How
forgot about that
you,
one.
You didn't think it
I mean,
was
No,
to
I
me-
think I
to
still
me,
like
that
Requiem
kinda-
more than Dallas.
I'll have to see it. I haven't seen
You didn't
it.
think it was Morbid Time?
I would have
I
to.
don't think you. I think you should watch it like in the morning.
Okay.
Don't watch it at night.
I just felt like that movie really kind of put him in a place I don't hate to say it like this, doesn't necessarily belong, but I think it definitely put him on a level as an actor that
Yeah.
we never thought
'Cause
of him as
he
before
can
that.
act, but then
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
he
he
can
just
act for sure.
doesn't, or his manager just gave him the wrong project. Because after that, he did Suicide Squad. No.
Yes.
I've heard that I have a friend, we all know this person.
You have
I'm
friends?
I'm not going to name him because I wouldn't be fair, who actually worked with him. And he had absolutely nothing but good things to say about him. But
Oh, that's good.
But going into the project, there was concern because there's
the Suicide Squad thing?
There's some. I don't think he has the best of reputations.
No,
as far
he
as,
does not.
As far as on set working with him.
No.
I
But
think
you
the
know
method
what?
acting is.
The Suicide Squad thing was a little overblown. I think some of the early word on that was like they were trying to build
Hype.
some kind of like weird hype,
Hey,
and
needed
then they
a
were like,
reason for
"Oh
us to go
wait,
see
maybe
it."
we should have," because like a lot of it was like, "Oh, he sent the cast a dead pig and
Yeah.
and rats and stuff
And a
and
used
used
condom.
condoms," but the condoms were still in their bags. The rat was alive, and the cast kept it as a pet, and the dead pig was like, it was like a cooked dead.
It was
pig.
actually a pork chop.
oh.
Yeah,
It was
so-
Travis.
it was the pig from Pearl.
but
So yeah, they were trying to do marketing, but it
yeah,
just.
and I think it just backfired.
Yeah.
I think he's fine. I really like him in Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I thought
he's
he was
really
good
good in
in
that.
You're right.
But I would kind of agree with Dan, where I think I don't think his range is as big as I feel like it should be.
Yeah,
if
no,
that
I
makes
agree.
no,
sense.
I-
Absolutely.
I think he gets, and again, I am not judging him at any level. I
No.
think he got the image of his acting ability really got lifted,
Yeah.
and it's almost in the same way Matthew McConaughey's did in the same movie. Well, he did two movies that year. He did
Lincoln Lawyer.
Yeah, no, he did Dallas Buyers Club, and he did that other movie. He did two movies in the same year, and they were both
Wolf?
highly.
Lincoln Lawyer.
No, was it
No,
Wolf of Wall
it was
Street?
years before.
Wolf of Wall Street was 2015.
No. I can look it up. No, he played like a guy who lived like in the bayou.
Oh,
I
Mud.
did
Right. So he did those two movies the same year. Both got critically acclaimed.
Right.
And suddenly
Oh,
his
the reconnaissance.
Yeah.
suddenly his
Interstellar.
acting ability was elevated
Yeah.
by the critics and by Hollywood. Wins Best Actor. Everybody's like, "Oh, Matthew McConaughey. This is the guy." When they did, what was his first movie? The Dallas, the high school in Texas.
Oh,
Oh, crap.
See that first movie where he plays
Wasn't it Sean Penn?
No,
it
Oh.
was.
he played the Sean Penn kind of role.
all right.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right, it should be better if
It was.
you did.
Was it
Dazed-
Fast Times at
No,
Ridgemont?
Dazed
No.
and Confused.
Oh.
Dazed and Confused.
There
so
you go.
when he did Dazed and Confused, that was his sort of his introduction to Hollywood. Everybody went, "Oh, this guy, he's really something." And then as he did more and more movies, people were like less impressed with him.
Right.
Then he did these two movies. He was elevated, but then right away he's doing Lincoln commercials, and we're going, "Oh yeah, he's
Yeah, 'cause
just
they was
he's
stuck
just
in the
Matthew
rom-com.
McConaughey."
Yeah, he was.
Oh,
stuck.
yeah.
I think going from like 13, going from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days to like
Well, Failure to
Lincoln
Launch.
Failure to Launch. Yeah, he went some bad.
Travis, I don't know why you keep saying Lincoln Lawyer. That was years and years before these movies.
Lincoln Lawyer.
Lincoln Lawyer
I
was
said
like
two.
2011, wasn't it? Like
Yeah,
2011.
but that's many years before.
Dallas Buyer Club was like 2013.
It
Or
just.
he was doing some
Why do you
really
make me
like
keep
good
looking
gems
things
though,
up?
because he also did Killer Joe, which I really like.
Around the same time.
It just
As
seems
Lincoln
like.
Lawyer?
It seems like once you get trapped
You
in
might
that
be right, but I'm gonna
rom-com
look it up.
bubble, it's kind of hard to escape. Like
Yeah.
I was reading an article today about how Mark Ruffalo, when he was signing on to do Zodiac, he had done a bunch of rom-coms, and they were basically like, Yeah, we don't give
yeah.
a shit about you, so you're gonna have to take the offer we
Yes.
give you, or
Don't.
you're out because we don't really need you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the same too. I
And now
think.
he's Hulk.
I mean,
Yeah.
you said Wolf of Wall Street. I think too the same thing happened where I think like I might have the numbers wrong. I think there was the same thing too with Jonah Hill when he did Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think they gave him like he took like a super low salary because then he was just like, well,
He wanted to work, yeah.
he wanted, and I mean,
Yeah.
I think it did. People started to take him
More
as a
seriously.
serious actor.
Right. No longer a super bad actor.
Yeah.
The movie, he's not super bad. The
No,
it's the
Right,
movie,
right,
super bad.
right.
All right, anyway,
You were right, Travis. Sorry. 2011,
Wow.
2013.
And I'm out.
let's all take a brief
You were right.
moment.
It felt like Lincoln Lawyer was so long ago. That is not a very good movie, by
I
the way.
didn't see it.
What?
It's a great series of books, though.
You were such
Really
a
good
Based
stand
off
for
a
it.
book.
Based off of a whole
I know, I'm
series
just
of
kidding.
murder mysteries.
I thought it was based off a TV show.
And now it's a TV show. There we go. Okay, we're
Oh,
full
God.
circle. So, the guy who directed this movie, whose name I don't remember,
Previous
he
episode.
also directed Valentine.
Jamie
And
Blanks.
boy, can you
Did he
boy,
really?
can you tell?
Yes,
No,
you
you
can.
mean-
It's got that
movies-
same 90s style.
Those movies
Yes,
I love
very.
are Cupid Face and North Face.
This makes a lot of
Well,
sense.
you know
The
why?
Face trilogy.
You know why he was okay. You know why they had the killer wear that jacket, not just to conceal the identity, but originally the film was it was supposed to be set in a more cold environment. And then I think they changed it. And I think they were like, those North Face jackets were kind of expensive. We lost the receipt. We can't return them.
We're gonna have
My
to
kids
use
don't
'em.
want them. I already got my.
Is this real or are you joking?
No, it's 100%
okay.
real. Like not the
it was
returning the
shot-
jackets.
It was
but-
shot in Toronto at the University of Toronto in spring of '98, and it came out in September of '98. That is a crazy turnaround.
Jamie
It was
Banks
shot
is
like
the
in April,
director.
May, and released in September.
This is very much
That
like
is
Scream,
some,
no?
That's some
Yeah.
rockin' editing. Think about how fast that is. And I'm sure it was all about trying to stay in the groove of Scream and all these movies. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest criticism of this movie, and I went ahead and tracked all the reviews, of course, all pre-Rotten Tomatoes. So this was like, I mean, the reviews weren't really bad. It was just, this is just totally trying to live off of Scream. I mean, everybody to every critic
Beat by
said
beat, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just trying
Yeah.
to be Scream, and not like it's they did a bad job, but it's so obviously
Right.
trying to be Scream.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Is like in that time, like I mentioned it. Everyone should listen if you haven't heard it. We did all 7 Scream films.
sure
Go ahead,
did.
take a listen.
Please
And
listen.
we're gonna do the 8th one, I'm
think-
sure.
Please.
I think
Pretty please.
No, we did. There's 6 Scream films. I'm sorry.
6 with a 7 maybe coming.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
I think it was just not even Scream. It was just like that whole Kevin Williamson era where it was, that kind of, oh, we're going to be like sort of meta with all of this, where it's like, oh, like what if it's like Scream took all the horror tropes. What if we took like the
Urban
urban
legend
legend and
tropes.
just kind of poked fun and was like semi self-aware? Because I mean,
No, go on, go
because
on.
you even had, I think it came out around maybe the same time, maybe a year earlier, was you also had the other Kevin Williamson film.
I know what you
Faculty?
did. Oh, Faculty.
Mm, I haven't
You
seen
had
that one.
Faculty, which was also like, I guess more of a satire of like conformity. And
Let's not say anything else though, because since
Oh,
she
are we
hasn't
doing
seen
it?
it, we're gonna do it.
Oh, I was
Okay.
gonna say, yeah, and it plays a bunch of tropes, and I think high school, and I think it was very much that was like the it thing at the time, so everyone was trying to rip it off, and you go into like, we'll talk about this movie.
Also, going off what
No,
you
I
said.
think it's interesting
No,
what you're
because
saying.
I mean,
really do.
because like I said, you always have your trends, and then I think right after the Kevin Williamson era kind of ended, was you had like Saw come out, which was then by Hostel. So the biggest trope then was like, okay, like let's all just kind of rip off each other and do these like torture porn films, but you also at the same time you had all the the Grudge The Ring comes out, and then they start doing all like the Japanese horror. I think it was just Dan exactly
the trend,
what
yeah.
it is. It was just like, hey, like we're just going off trends now, and just this was a hit, so let's milk this as much as we
And-
can.
Well, that's kind of how horror's always been.
It's always been like
I,
that. So it's
I,
like,
I think all of Hollywood operates that
always
way.
is.
They
Yeah.
always latch onto. They don't. It's so rare. I mean, you think about. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You think about like Scream. You think about like what that
Every day.
movie did when Wes Craven came out with that film. It really broke some really new ground. Like we had not seen that movie before. So yeah, all of a sudden it's everybody's grabbing onto. How can we make the next Scream? Well, what do you do? Well, we got to have a bunch of kids. It's got to be a college or high school. I mean, it's just this movie was so on the nose. It was so just, you know what I mean? Wasn't cleverly redoing Scream. It was really just
Redoing
Scream.
In its own
Dan,
way. I mean,
Dan.
it was urban legends, but still, the premise and the way it plays out and the mystery and all
Dan,
that.
you can copy my homework, but just make your answers a little different so
Right.
the teacher doesn't catch on.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of movies, it's urban legend.
It's films, movies.
Right. I mean, they did everything short of sitting around talking about, you know.
They did because they talked about urban
Yeah,
legends.
you're
legends.
right. You're right. They did.
With
They did
urban-
the same thing, but they didn't talk about it as movies.
No, that's
like
true.
that's what Scream
With
does. They
urban
actually
legends,
literally talk about.
you got to follow the rules. See,
Yeah,
there's
they
a certain
didn't-
set of rules.
They didn't sit
when
around
it comes to
picnic
urban
tables in the
legends.
park doing
Sam
that.
is doing a bit.
Oh, was he? Well, what I was gonna say before you guys jump on that
Jump
rant,
on in. Jump on in.
I'm trying. Going off on what you said 5 minutes ago.
Anyway, I'm just kidding.
Oh, 5 minutes ago I was talking
Oh
about.
my god!
Sorry, Sam.
Oh,
Continue,
go ahead,
Sam.
Sam, please.
Now I lost my train of thought. When in this one, you know how in Scream, I forgot his name, Jamie Kennedy's character,
Yeah.
Randy.
Randy.
Close.
this one had a Randy-like guy that always pops up and be like, "Oh, this is based on an urban legend." Like at the
Michael
party.
Rosenbaum. My
Is that
him?
favorite. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when he's like,
Exposition, the
"Oh, that
character.
Scream," in that song, it's actually that's one of the ones I've learned in elementary school. Someone mentioned the whole like this what song? Roller coaster.
Roller coaster,
of
yeah.
love.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that urban legend.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I was really freaked out, but he was like, "Yeah, that Scream is real."
Someone
Yeah.
got murdered and this murdered.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of urban legend, the one I did hear was the Wizard of Oz one when like
yeah.
Oh, she hung
yeah.
the one is hanging.
I think you and I had talked about it
Yeah,
briefly.
you
like,
can actually
off-
see clips of that, and they'll show it, and then they'll break it down and show you what was actually
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah,
And
but-
then
Wasn't
there,
it like a stork or something?
No, it was like a piece of a something from the set was hanging
Oh,
off.
well,
okay.
Does the silhouette look
Yeah.
like?
I've never seen the movie, Dan. Maybe you have. There's also the one with like 3 men and a baby, where they say that like in
Tom
the mirror,
Selleck.
where in the mirror you
Oh,
can see like a
yes.
ghost or something like that.
Yes.
remember that
like a
one.
ghost
I've
boy
never
or
heard
something.
that
Yeah,
I
like a
remember there
ghost
were
boy.
YouTube videos, all like compilations of all these urban legends. It's
Yeah.
pretty freaking creepy. But anyway, back to the thing.
Urban legends are cool.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. They're
Well,
great
I mean,
campsite
this-
stories. They're really, really
This
cool.
movie, I mean, I don't know how much it was because, like I said, I was a kid when this movie came out, and I wasn't aware that the movie was out. So, but it was also like kind of people said it was like kind of popularized, like bringing back a lot of these urban legends, like pop rocks.
See, I thought that was real.
bloody-
So when I was a kid,
yeah.
the pop
Same.
rock thing was going on, and I thought, okay, that makes sense. I would
Yeah.
never take a bag of pop rock, swallow them, and then drink a soda. It makes sense. Things gonna, I didn't think you'd blow up inside. You just wouldn't be able to breathe because of all the gases from the,
Yeah,
from the pop
But-
rocks. But
I mean, that's what they're saying, kind of like brought them back into like the playgrounds and like you said, because all that stuff, was when you were like 80s and everything, and now it's like okay, now we're gonna like introduce it all back to like the younger generations and
Yeah. I agree. Actually, that might be why we had that phase where we were
Exactly.
doing Bloody Mary a lot.
because it was around that time.
Yeah.
what was the actual though? Help me with the movie. What happened in that building? That
Oh, it was
they
a-
all
it
centered around
was-
Wexler, like that he
Oh,
was the
wasn't
only
it-
survivor.
It
was
was
the killing.
Yeah, it was it was a killer. Someone came around and just it was like during like a dance or
I don't know.
See, I was never clear on what actually happened.
and that's the thing because I think it kind of makes it unclear a little bit because like I said, the very obvious red herring where they're like, we don't want to give you too much info because then you'll actually realize this guy actually had nothing to do with what's going on now. Because that was the whole thing too with Robert Englund, like survived it, right? He was like the only survivor.
Yeah, he was the
Lone
sole survivor.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too I think was cool because it's like in a lot of like these 80s slashers it was always like you'd always find out because spoilers, I guess, for people who haven't seen it. Like a bunch of 80s slashers was you always found out, oh, the killer, oh yeah, actually we're going to talk about some background story now where like this person was like bullied as a kid and they were the only survivor of this. So now they got like messed up in the head and now they're coming back, you know, to kill everyone, or they don't realize it because they got like a split personality.
Was there ever a moment in the movie when you started going, oh, I think it's Jared Leto?
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you go, oh no, it can't be? Like, this is too
When the actual
obvious.
killer's revealed.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
For me, it was when they opened found the body in the back of the truck, and he was in the gas station and started running after them. I went, he's not the killer.
Yeah.
Because this is too. Because if he's the killer, we've already blown our wad with like 15 minutes left in the movie.
Blown our wad.
So I knew he wasn't. However, I kind of at the very end when it was I don't even know the poor actress who played the hero.
I love her. The Pam Grier.
Yeah.
She wants to be Pam Grier.
Right. And then
Alicia Witt.
Gayheart were up in the stairs and having their thing. When he walked in, I thought, okay, they're in it together. And that was my first thought. They're actually in this together. They're doing a real Scream thing. It's actually going to be.
And I was gonna say,
it's going to
there's
be
not
two
one
people.
but two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought that. And then as
Yeah.
soon as he started talking, I went, oh no, he's.
He's just trying to.
Yeah.
Had
Same.
any of you ever heard of that like urban legend with like the flashing headlights before?
Oh,
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
I'd never
Sure.
never.
In fact,
Let's enlighten the audience.
okay, so I actually thought this was real too, because when I first heard about this, so here's the legend, is that if you're driving down the street and a car's coming at you with their headlights off at night, if you flash them with your headlights to get them to turn them on, they then have to turn around, follow you, and kill you. And I had heard that living out here, when I
Same.
first moved out here,
Like a gang
that
thing.
gangs were doing that. And that was part of getting into a gang. Like your
Initiation,
your
yeah.
initiation was you got to drive without your headlights on with your gang friends. As soon as somebody flashes, you have to kill them. That's how you get in the gang. I 100% believed that was true. I thought I had read about it. I thought I had heard about it in the news. I actually thought I had actually heard this was a real thing. And up until I saw this movie, I thought this was real. When I heard in the movie it's an urban legend, I went, really? That was
fell
one of the
for it.
ones I really thought was
Yeah.
a real
You
thing.
learned
Dan,
something.
Dan, the Pop Rocks thing isn't true.
No, and you know it was Mikey from those commercials that they always said was the one that died.
Oh, really?
Now Mikey likes it. That was always the legend. Was, oh yeah, he did that and died. Until we found out he's not dead. He's a grown-up guy. Like,
Oh,
He's just some guy.
if I were him, I would have gone. I'm okay, guys. I'm actually not dead, and I've never had Pop Rocks.
Maybe he wanted to escape the.
Well, it's like
Well, we're already-
you guys don't know the TV series. I'm sorry, the TV series.
Little Mikey.
No, I don't.
Green Acres.
Green Acres.
Dennis the Menace was
I
a
remember that. That was a movie
was
too.
a TV series when I was a kid, and there was always the story. The urban legend was that Jane North, who played Dennis the Menace, had gone to Vietnam and was killed in Vietnam. And for years, that's what we thought. But he was alive. I don't know why he didn't step out and go, "No, guys, I'm alive. I did not even go to Vietnam."
They
so.
had that same thing with us when we were kids, where it was the show Blue's Clues, and then Steve left. Everyone said that he left the show
Drugs.
because drugs, and he had to go to rehab. So they
Oh, I
had to
never
bring
heard that.
in.
Oh, yeah.
they had to bring
That
in
was, I
someone
was so
else.
sad.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh no, Steve.
Steve, I love
Did you
Steve.
yell at the TV and stuff when you were watching Blue's Clues? Because that's what Molly would do. It was,
That was-
so funny. I'd watch her. She was like 3-4 years old. It's under the couch.
That was me
I
with
was
Dora.
Last week.
Dora, what are you doing?
I think that's so freaking cute.
Yeah.
When kids scream at the
Thank
TV.
you.
But you're 32. It's
I
not
know.
cute anymore.
I was actually doing that on the way over here. What are you
Okay.
doing, Dora?
So
No, so now that we kind of talked about like some of these like urban legends in the film, what was your guys' what was everyone's favorite, I guess, urban legend kill? It can be like your kill in general, or you're like, oh, that was kind of cool that they like tied it to.
I can tell you my favorite kill, and I don't need to go first. I can tell you my favorite kill, but I also didn't know it was an urban legend, and I'm still not even sure what
intrigued.
the urban
I'm
legend
intrigued.
Yeah,
was.
say it.
The reaching under the car and slashing the guy's
Oh, I forgot about that.
ankle.
Which one? It was.
That's an urban legend. There's a guy under the car gonna
What's his
slash
name
your
again?
ankle.
It was the blonde guy,
Yeah, I
right?
don't know that actor's name. No, it's the old. It's the old guy. No, it's the old guy. It was the dean of the
dean.
school.
Oh, gotcha.
I thought that there was a couple of things that went through my mind, so I guess I am going to go 1st. Is he falls down, the guy our killer engages the Mercedes, which slowly comes towards him, and then of course he gets flattened by the "don't reverse or you will hurt your tires if you go in reverse" moment.
Oh,
I thought it was a really cool idea that's how he died from the reverse thing, but I kept thinking, wow, that car is really well aligned. Like nobody's steering, it's going perfectly straight all the way across the garage and slowly.
in a
I don't know
straight
if
line.
you've ever like put your car like in drive, gotten out of it, and let it just idle.
No.
It goes a lot faster than that and doesn't stay straight.
I'm okay. I'm
No,
not
I got,
gonna
out of,
learn
I
that.
got out of my car once without engaging the parking I thought I had. I jumped out of the car to get something. I turned around and my car was going down the street with the door open.
Oh my
And
god!
it was like a straight.
And was not
it
going.
was like a-
it was going straight, but it was, definitely heading towards
was
the
that
curb.
you on YouTube? Because you always,
I ran
Yeah.
and leaped in the car and stopped it.
was it going in like a busy intersection? Like,
Yeah, it was heading
Oh.
towards
Oh
my God.
It was in a neighborhood. It was.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Still,
here.
yeah.
but
but
it was-
still, no. I looked it up. So apparently that is real. It's called the ankle slasher under the car.
and I've never heard
I've
of
never
that.
heard of that one.
Straightforward.
But the one,
You know exactly what it means.
Yeah.
the
The
one,
legend of the ankle
see,
slasher under the car.
The one that I didn't know was an urban legend until I watched this movie. It's not my favorite kill, but it'll lead me into it. Was when I remember growing up. I never played around with the microwave much, but someone told me that I think it might have been
Drying the dog. Yes.
Sorry, parents. It might have been one of my parents told me that, oh, yeah, when microwaves were coming out, they had to put, like, a warning because there was some lady or someone that, like, put their pet, like, in the microwave and it, like, exploded.
They tried to dry their.
Yeah,
their
tried
pet.
to dry their pet. It was like, oh, yeah, people didn't know how, how powerful they were. So, I don't know. I thought,
That's
so like
because
you,
ovens cook from the outside in, microwaves cook from the inside out. That's why. That's why you really don't cook meat
Yeah.
in a microwave, because it's cooking from the
if
inside.
it's not in a microwave, I don't know how to cook it.
And I
thought you were gonna
somehow
say-
believe you.
I thought you were gonna say the stomach full of semen.
Oh.
There,
What?
yes, there is a couple
That
of.
is an urban legend. Yes,
Really?
if you throw it all up,
Yep, that you can get your stomach pumped if it's full of. It's just
That's gonna be a
lot of
semen. Let me
okay,
tell you.
this wasn't. Oh my god. Okay, let me rephrase. Not that urban legend, but there was one similar when I was a kid. When they're like, "Oh, if you eat the watermelon seeds,
Oh, yeah, it'll
a
grow."
watermelon's gonna grow in your
Yeah.
stomach."
Or like gum. If you swallow gum, it's gonna be there for 7
yeah,
years.
for
I
7
believe
years.
that.
Yeah.
I believed that for way too long.
I gotta tell you, I believed it and told my kids the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't swallow that gum.
Yeah, and-
It'll be in your intestines for 7 years.
And then I also too. They're all coming back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is the one? I actually had a teacher tell me that was like, "Did you know your blood is actually blue?"
oh
But when it
Oh,
like, because if you look at your,
Hits
but when it hits
oxygen, yeah.
oxygen, not true because I'm like, well, oxygen's carried in your veins,
Look at you, science.
so that's not true.
Science.
But I always
rules.
heard that too. I always
That's an
assumed
urban.
it was true.
No,
Yeah.
that's an urban legend.
Well, my favorite kill is the one with the Parker and where he got that powder shoved in his mouth.
the
toilet?
Drano
Yeah.
and Pop Rocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was my favorite kill. I didn't like the whole microwave part, but
No,
No,
I'm saying I'm
that
just not
was
saying
a
that was
good
my
one.
favorite. That was not my favorite. Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
I don't want
This
people to
is-
think I'm a psycho.
Not everything's about you.
I mean,
I agree with you, Sam. That was a good one. A
Right.
really good one. I like the one out in the woods too, where he's hanging over the
with the tree.
tree, but I thought it was just kind of took too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
that whole sequence.
Yes.
Well,
but you know they
as
had
far
to do
as-
it.
As
Well-
far as having any kind of real bang,
Well,
it didn't have a lot of bang.
you know what,
power
Dan?
to it.
No, he wanted some bang.
I-
but
He sure did. He
I'll-
worked hard on that.
I'm a
This is a
lumberjack.
joke? Are you gonna say
No,
a joke?
I was gonna say that was actually my favorite kill, but
Oh, is it really?
continue.
No, I was gonna say was the one that Dan said he didn't like.
No, I liked it. I just thought it.
Too
I just
long.
thought it was. It was a long
Well,
runway. It took a long time to take that
Dan,
plane off.
like
Yeah.
me trying to get to the point of a story.
Okay, what's your
like,
favorite kill?
No, I'm saying I like stuff that's long and drawn out like that.
That's what I've heard about you.
Travis.
I'm not making.
I've heard many
Travis.
times you like it long
That's
and drawn
what
out.
she said.
I'm talking about stories.
You
That's
can
an
call
urban.
it that too.
That's an urban legend.
No, that's just a flat out lie.
All right, so my favorite kill was I actually liked the one the roommate who gets killed while
Okay,
I
yeah.
just there's
I wanna
something
talk
really
about that.
horrifying about that whole scenario.
Yeah.
That I just really thought was like really cool, and it always stands out to me.
Right.
Sure, because you're actually in the room, and the next morning it says, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn the lights
Yeah,
on?"
That was scary.
It's set up really nicely at the beginning because you're
agree.
like, oh, it's one of those movies, silly teens, but then later you're like,
Oh, that's
Yeah,
real.
that's
All
a
right.
creepy. I agree with you. Did anybody just go, okay, what's going on here? First of all, this is a dorm room I've never seen in my entire life. It's bigger than my house.
That's all.
And second of all, who put you two together?
Yeah.
This girl A is not going to this university because I guarantee you she's not going to class. And redhead, you're not. You're in a sorority somewhere. What are you doing in this? Was that to me just stood out as a really false note.
The goth girl looks familiar though.
She did.
it's
but why
Danielle
did she
Harris.
need to be a goth girl?
Yeah.
Why
Huh?
couldn't she just be?
Danielle
Danielle
Harris?
She was in Halloween 4.
She plays
like
Jamie.
I watched Halloween 4.
Oh.
I never watched Halloween 4.
You've seen her before if you're into horror. She's the little girl, the niece she's Michael Myers' niece, the one with
Gotcha.
the clown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
she's a big she's a scream queen in
Yeah.
her own right.
She was
Okay.
also in.
So Michael Myers has relatives.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
Do
I
they
have.
have like friendsgivings and stuff every year.
No,
Oh,
they just have
wait-
like psychic
wait in-
connections
wait
that
in-
cause them to murder.
Wait until you watch Halloween 6. There's some weird stuff you're gonna find out in that one.
Oh yeah,
But
some family connections
yeah,
run
she's
deep.
also in. I don't know if you've seen them. They brought her back in the Rob Zombie Halloween remake.
I've
She
never
plays
seen
a
any
different-
of the remakes.
Me neither. She plays a different character, but
Gotcha.
So I just thought that was a kind of it felt very false to me, the teaming of those two. I mean, I felt like she didn't, if she hadn't been goth, just been whatever, the party girl, the party slut girl, whatever, that would have
Yeah.
been like, okay, I buy it.
But I feel like because it's like
words I never thought I'd hear
2023,
Dan.
Dan.
Words I
Party
never
slut
thought I'd hear
girl.
Dan say.
What's
I'm gonna
that?
make party
Words
slut
I
girl.
never thought I would
Oh.
hear you say. But then
Well, I was in college back in the late 70s, early 80s.
you were in the college.
I was in the college, yes.
the first college.
It was called the.
The
It
college.
actually was just called college because it was the
Yeah,
only
that's
one.
What I was gonna say was that I feel like they had to make her goth because it's kind of stereotypical of how she went.
Yeah,
Because like when you're goth, you're kind of just like really into these weird quote unquote
things.
kinks. So it's kind of like, oh, she's getting strangled. All right, she's into that.
okay, that makes
Sam,
sense.
and-
But
Silly
I agree
90s
with
goth.
you. It doesn't pair together. It's just kind of weird.
It goes back to Sam, what you were saying about like those horror movie tropes of like that time. It was always like, oh, the goth girl, she's or the goth, she's weird.
Yeah.
Like, stay away from her. She's quiet and she's listening to her
Weird.
music and always on her headphones and
Yeah.
yeah.
I wish
Is-
they used her more. Sorry.
No.
I
go
thought
ahead,
she was
please.
a fun character. I wish
honestly,
they
I
utilized
kind of
her more.
like. Look again. I'm very sorry if I offend the actress, but I didn't really care for the lead in this one either.
Yeah. I
She-
like
better than our last.
You mean Red?
Whatever.
Well, I'm just.
Natalie. Her
Yeah,
name is
the redhead.
Natalie.
There we go. Yes,
You,
Natalie.
you
I forgot her.
didn't care for her.
No, as like a lead, I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
okay.
I found
there.
her wildly uninteresting.
Yeah,
Like she had no
Agreed.
character arc whatsoever.
she tried.
Yeah, but was it?
that's
I'm
it.
not sure it was her or it was just. I mean, part of it was her. Honestly, she just wasn't very interesting. But I just wasn't well written either.
No.
There was nothing for her to latch onto.
We should just talk about things we don't like about this film now. Because
Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
when you mentioned the dean getting killed and how the scene dragged too long, was it that one? No, the strangling
No, the
one.
strangling.
Strangler
yeah.
one.
I feel like there's a lot of those.
And that's a big
Yeah.
urban legend, that one, where he's actually
Yeah.
on top of the car.
So
and,
they had
scratching
to
on
do
the car.
it.
Yeah, they had to. I just would have loved it to be him urinating as he was, and then boom, and then we just cut inside, and I didn't need all the struggle and fighting with the person
Yeah.
out in the woods.
I think they were
would've
trying to
gone
build tension.
I would have gone, I think we would have still had it.
Yeah, they could have built it a
Just
different
boom,
way.
we're done. She's inside the car, and we just start hearing stuff. I think that would have been
But also,
better for me anyway.
What for my biggest thing is like the inconsistency in the killing. I feel like I really liked not the microwave exactly, but the party scene.
Yeah.
I thought, you know how he ran upstairs on a phone call or something, and then came back down when there's like, oh, the microwave, whatever.
Yeah.
That shot of the microwave reminded me of like a very B horror.
It
kind
did.
of thing, right?
It did, yeah.
And the kill
Maybe
was
when we're inside the microwave,
so it's like
looking
that-
out at
yes.
him, and you see the splattering
Yeah.
everywhere.
That's a pretty cool shot.
and the camera work was great, but then the kill was gruesome, and I thought, okay, it's gonna rev up now,
Yeah.
and then drop.
And it kind of, yeah.
And I felt like if they had continued the intensity of it, I feel like that would have
And I feel
saved
like
it for
I
me.
feel like they were avoiding a Scream comparison because, like,
Yeah.
as we've hit before, like it is very like Scream adjacent. Like, here, let me borrow some stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the moment where you've got your Randy character at a party, giving his like.
These are the rules.
Instead, it's like, look at you, Jared Leto, you fucking weirdo. You're the murderer, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. He didn't say it like that, but you know what I mean.
he could have, yeah.
He could have, and it would have been just
That
exactly
would have
same,
been
yeah.
better.
Mm-hmm.
But like, instead of staying at that party scene and having that be the third act, they switch it up and they do it elsewhere.
Yeah. No, you're
know?
absolutely right, because when you're watching the film, you are saying, okay, we're at the party now. We are in Act 3, and this is going to be the big, crazy, pull it all at the stops and let's go, man. That's why we got all these people here together. They're celebrating the anniversary thing, and it's all going to unload. And it didn't.
Which was a very, 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 like we said, I mean, I don't know, we keep referencing Scream, but I feel like that was very big in like the 90s, like horror movie, even some of the 80s where it was always like, the ending was always like, oh, we're at the big party. The big house party is always where you had like your third act
climax,
bloodbath,
Yeah, it was very much a trope of the time.
Because it was all high school. It's like, what are high schoolers going to do? They're going to go to someone's party.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll get killed.
that the crab fisherman festival thing. And
Or
I know what you
that, or even like going back to like going to Freddy vs. Jason, like the corn maze rave.
Oh, that corn maze rave is so fucking cool. I love that scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Wait,
agree.
who was Sasha again? The DJ.
Yes, that's Tara Reid's character.
How did she die? Because I wrote on here that she's my
she
favorite
dies
kill.
at the radio station,
Right,
being
how?
chased around with the axe. You don't really see anything happen. She just chops her up.
Yeah,
it's when our heroine's down below looking up, and you just
Yes.
see the
Yeah.
axe
I don't know
going
why I
away.
wrote that as my favorite kill,
He
but
wanted
I
to
guess.
ask her a few questions.
How dare you?
Hang on, hold on. There you go. You needed that.
I did like the setup where you can kind of see her like her co-host or whatever
Yeah.
behind
That
her.
was nice, and then it all goes to black.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm only going to throw this in now because I made a note of it, and I'll probably forget if I don't. I will say, when we pick these movies, the one thing I don't like to read anything about what the movie's about, but the one thing I will always look at is what year it was made. And I will tell you, when I see them made in the 80s and 90s, I do sigh a little breath of relief because I know it's not going to be that gory.
You're right.
Things don't really get gory. Well,
Yeah.
you can prove me wrong, and maybe you will. But
That's his
honestly,
goal now.
Honestly, the ones we have watched from that era, like if you look at
Cheesy,
the Screams of '96 versus 2023 or whenever the last one came out,
Yeah.
it's
You're right.
wildly,
Night and day, yeah.
wildly different because now they don't care. They'll saw you in half, put you back together, and saw you in half again.
The MPAA.
Well, actually-
The MPA doesn't. Yeah, they don't.
It's the MPA now. Sorry.
I'm sorry, MPA. Yeah, because I mean, and it's just it's just
Mpa.
crazy too. Because I think this going back, like I think one of the biggest victims too of the '80s and like the censorship and everything was like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Where there's even stories like apparently like the 7th Friday the 13th was it got censored so much from the beginning that like apparently like a lot of the footage is like gone now, and it kind of like it affects the movie so much now that like there's always the like setup quick kill where like the director was actually a very huge makeup artist, so this movie was actually one of the first like Friday the 13th that was set up around the kills and making these slow elaborate, not just like, oh, I'm a teenager and I'm walking around and axe hits, but they had to cut out every single
All the creative
all
stuff.
the single traps and like kills that were actually built. They had to cut them all out.
that
So when you
sucks.
watch the movie now, it's a very hollow shell of what it once was.
terrible.
And it
Yeah.
just brings up a lot now where it's like you said now, like with the MPA, it's just like they can get away with like
A lot more.
almost
Yeah.
anything
It's
now.
so different now.
And it,
I mean, Terrifier's made like.
That's true.
I mean, in some cases, and we've discussed this before. In some cases, what you don't see is more horrifying than what you do see. I would agree. I'm not sure I would put this movie in that category, but definitely,
Yeah.
the imagination can run wild, way more than just showing it. In some cases, for
Yeah.
sure.
whereas Friday the 13th, so that they show things because they, that we're not trying to. Yeah, sorry. Go.
I think that there's pros to both.
Of course.
I don't think when it comes to gore, it's too horrifying. I think it's more creative, and I think that's where a lot of people are attracted to it. Like when we go to mazes and there's some really good gore effects, I'm always fascinated by how
Right.
they could get it right.
Yeah.
And I think that I think it's maybe a little bit of a misnomer to label certain movies as horror that are gory, because it's honestly it's less about horror. It's more artistic for me, at least. Seeing how they can get these effects to look. I mean, they're gross, but they're not like
Yeah.
that's scary. It's more like
I
that's
agree.
disgusting.
No, I 100% agree with you, because as we've talked about, I just become desensitized at some point, like an Evil Dead
Yeah.
Rise. By the end of that movie, I was just staring, going, I don't even,
Well-
you know what? You're not even bothering me
Yeah,
anymore,
I-
because I just can't process what's going on anymore. So that's not scary
No, and
or good, in my opinion. That's just, okay, whatever.
Gross.
I'm gonna
It's
say it.
gross,
I'm-
and I'm not bothered by it anymore.
I'm gonna say it. I know a lot of people. There's a very big franchise now that people like. These like new Terrifier movies that are coming out, where it's like this guy called Dan. Basically, it's this character
Art
called
the
Art the
Clown.
Clown, and he just goes around like killing people. But like the thing is, like I understand, like if that's the point of your movie, just the kills. But like it's to the point now where it's just
It's useless.
so
It's pointless.
so over the top,
Yeah.
and like the movies themselves, a lot of it just seems like I just placed the camera down and I'm just gonna let Art do his thing.
It's
but
only for shock factor.
It's only for shock factor, but it's not even done like in a. That's
In a
that's too
creative
harsh.
way?
In a creative way, where it's like it's like even to the point where it's like there's this part where like this girl, she's hanging up upside down, and he like gets like a knife and he cuts her.
Yeah.
But it's not even like
It's like, yeah.
you can make the scene scary by not showing it, by like maybe you kind of see the knife cutting, you hear the crunches, but it just gets to the point where he gets up to her and he just slices through like butter, so it's just
It's like a static shot.
and that's just it. It's
Yeah.
just a static shot, and you just see him with the knife, and it just splits open, and it's like that's gross, but I'm like it's not really, and you just kind of get bored of it fast.
Yeah,
and there's
I agree.
nothing that like kind of holds any of it together. It's him just kind of wandering around the streets, and it's like like I said, to a certain point, I agree. You kind of get desensitized. You're like, yeah, what they're showing is disgusting, but there's nothing else to it. So I kind of don't care, and I'm kind of like taken out of the movie now. And this is kind of like boring. I know this series has its fans, but
I have heard that criticism too, that some people would prefer if they kind of took Art the character out of that series and put him somewhere where, because the character itself, like from what I've seen and read, has a lot of potential. It's just
Yeah.
the approach that they're taking to him.
Right,
It's very
He was originally part of
An
he was a
anthology.
smaller thing. Yeah,
In,
it was All
All
Hallows
Hallows
Eve,
Eve,
right?
yeah.
And then they took him out and made like a spin-off, which I agree. But anyway, back to the film. Did you guys feel bad for Reese, the police?
yes.
Because like she's finding all these.
Bad for what
Pam
reason?
Greer, the
Yeah.
one that wants to be Pam Greer, she has that special.
Because
The
like
Pam
she's.
Greer scene I thought was actually pretty
I
funny.
love that.
was
I-
pretty
yeah.
Put some
But
respect on
Bad
Loretta's
for what
Vine's
reason? I'm sorry.
I felt bad for her because she's finding all these dead bodies,
Uh-huh.
and then she's literally trying to call for help, and they're like, "It's raining. Everybody's out somewhere else. Can't help you. Deal
Can
with
you
it."
not?
Right, and she's like, "I'm just trying to.
I-
I need to like."
Yeah.
I would say yes, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no because she gets her cool moment at the end.
That's true.
Right.
So that I'm like, okay, that's what I'm like, yeah, you just proved everyone wrong. Like you got your
You're right.
badass moment.
But,
She
like-
did have a cool one, but she kind of like blew it with her.
Which, yeah, she fired the gun.
No, but she had her against the window and did the whole thing, and then she got taken down
Dan,
anyway.
so what you're gonna do tomorrow?
Like, we knew she wasn't good.
Dan.
You knew
So you're
that
saying
wasn't
you don't
going to
feel
work.
bad for her?
What?
I didn't think about
Dan,
it.
Wow.
What you're gonna do tomorrow is you're gonna go watch Urban Legend 2,
No, I'm not.
and then you're gonna tell me. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not.
Urban Legends Final Cut.
Urban Legends Final
no,
Cut.
I'm actually not going to do any of those things. I read where there was supposed to be an urban legend in 2020, but it got scrapped because of the pandemic.
And then they
Yes.
just lost interest. I think after they were just like,
I think they all went, wait a minute, have we all seen the first three? Yeah, let's not make another one. We're good.
the first. I would even say, okay, like the third one, I think is just like it's like.
Is that the Bloody Mary one?
Yeah, where it's
Yeah.
just a completely different franchise, and it's
Yeah, I
like
read about
going
that,
straight
yeah.
to video, and they're like, "How can we boost some sales numbers?" The Urban Legend in the name. So I
That's
have
always with the third one because Exorcist is
yeah,
like
I
detective work. Exorcist.
I have seen the first two, but you know me, like even like the third one, I think it was on the other day, and I was just like,
Pluto.
yeah, it was on Pluto TV. Pluto TV has some good ones. They're always playing Urban Legend and Urban Legend 2. And
My
they play the
childhood
third
all
one. They
over.
play them back to back to
Yes,
back.
Yeah.
Pluto
Did-
TV.
Did we all
Yes.
do our favorite kill? Did
Yeah, I
you do yours,
Apparently
Frank?
mine was
I think we
Sasha.
did.
Yeah. How did you guys? What I liked was how they connected the cult opening to the actual story.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that part was
I did too.
yeah. Okay.
Hey, there is that extra little bit too with the turnaround song because
Yeah.
the urban legend is that you turn around and you follow
Yeah.
the car. Yeah,
I know.
There
You
you
figured
go.
it out.
That's for the scholars.
that's layers.
I thought it was.
Right
I
there.
thought
The
it was
19th layer.
I thought it was funny near the end when Leto's like driving, speeding down the street in the SUV and slams it into the bridge, and our redheaded heroine just bangs her head on the dashboard, but Gayheart
Ow.
goes flying through the windshield.
no, it's a.
She's
ow.
like, "Oh, ow!" But the other one goes flying through the windshield.
Yeah,
And
of
that's
course.
the thing. We were
90s
talking about
physics.
it in the beginning where what like the killer
Survives.
survived. She got shot twice, went through a window.
Went through a windshield and it went through a window on a second floor. He went through a
Right.
windshield all the way
There
down
you
into
go.
a river and
And
still
then-
showed up.
And unscathed. Like that's how you know a franchise
Well,
is
'cause
happening.
there's
It's like-
actually
This
there's
is actually
oh.
one of my favorite twists in a slasher. Is how the movie's over, right? You got the reveal. It's Rebecca Gayheart's character, who's
Why?
getting revenge for apparently.
The death of her boyfriend, who she was so in love with.
they were gonna get
They
married.
were gonna go get married.
They were
she
gonna
was
get
perfectly
married.
normal till all that happened.
Yeah.
She was. That's all it takes is one bad day. So the lead heroine, Red,
Natalie.
whatever her name is, and
Call her Red.
the opening kill, Miss I Can't Sing. They were both doing that, flashing your lights urban legend as a prank on some unsuspecting car, and it
Even
turned
though
out.
Natalie was opposed to it.
Yeah, but she didn't say anything because she's a fucking bitch.
Those are Frank's words, not
Those
mine.
are yes,
of
those
our
are
words. They're
those are
speaking
man's
for
words,
us.
not Frank's. So this caused the accident that killed her her
They
lover.
were gonna have a life together.
They were, but now she's just gonna settle for Jared Leto's character for some reason.
Now I gotta
But,
settle with this guy.
So
I
it's
love
all
that you're doing
over.
the sound bites for everything he's saying.
It's all over. You saw her body fly out of the car and into the river, so clearly she's dead. Nobody comes back.
That's
from
your
that.
Thai legend right
And
there.
Yeah.
See, it did throw it in.
And then it cuts to a college where they're doing the same thing that they did at the beginning,
Yeah.
where you got a group of college students talking about urban legends,
Yeah.
and one of them is like, I heard the story differently. And then the camera pans around, and it's who? Dan?
Gayheart.
Yeah.
Well,
I love that
With
ending.
a different hairdo, with her
Yeah.
hair straightened out.
Dan.
Apparently her hair straightened out when she hit that river.
yeah, Dan, I'm gonna tell
The
you because
impact.
that's actually part of an urban legend, where there were two people in a car. One person went flying through the windshield, and the other one apparently.
She sort of banged her head.
and she was fine. It's
Had a little bump,
That's
little
actually
bruise.
they used to tell that in my elementary school.
That is crazy.
I forgot my favorite urban legend was when they were in the abandoned thing, and then she had the redhead tied up, and then she was like, "Oh, there's an urban legend where a girl took a guy, or a girl met the
the
guy."
old kidney thing.
Yeah, that I forgot how frightened I was with that urban legend when I was like 10.
Again, I thought that was real.
Yeah, same.
I thought those were real. I thought they
And
were
I was
actually
10.
doing that, drugging you, taking your kidney and
Yes.
selling it to like people in
I
other
still,
countries.
completely
I still
forgot
believe
about it.
that. That's why I will not take the subway, the red line at nighttime.
That's why I won't have a drink with an unfamiliar person.
I
Isn't
love
that how
having
we
drinks.
met?
I love that you're looking at Travis so
I was
intensely.
like, isn't that how we met? That's how you're looking at me.
Wait a minute, I'm missing a kidney. What happened? Yeah, no, I thought that was real. So I guess, Frank, if you don't kill her 3 times, like she didn't die the first, second, or third time, I guess it's okay for her to show up years later, still in college,
Yeah.
telling this story.
Yeah, she's passing on the tradition to another group of
like
students.
Halloween ends.
Exactly.
I'm going to write a book. I don't want, we have to get over
Evil
this, but I'm
starts
going to write a
tonight.
book.
Evil starts
What?
tonight.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you
This
doing?
has actually been a really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've enjoyed this quite a bit, and realizing that some urban legends have been with us, for me anyway,
For
where
generations.
I thought they were real, like real.
Join
real.
us next week.
Didn't know they were
Yeah.
urban legends.
Join us next week, everyone. Where
So I think we're good to rock into
Yeah.
final thoughts. I
I'll
think we've covered this bad boy.
I'll start.
Okay, hang on one second. Travis, would you like to start?
Yeah, because that's part of the urban legend.
Where you start.
He trailed off where?
what is that urban legend?
Okay, so I'm gonna keep it brief.
Oh, great.
You always.
I know.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's an urban legend.
Boxer brief.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Zip.
Don't do that. I listen. I mean, like I said, we all have talked about over and over again how it's a blatant ripoff of Scream.
Scream.
I still have fun with it. I mean, because I think its gimmick where it starts out with like check the back seat urban legend. I like that every subsequent kill is tied to an urban legend. Like it would have been. I like how it wasn't like, okay, for the first like 20 minutes it's gonna be urban legends, and then it's just gonna be the killer walking around stabbing people or slashing people. I like that it kind of ties it in to all the kills. I like how it stays with its concept.
Wouldn't that have been weird if it hadn't, though?
But there's some movies that do that.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying, and that's where it just kind of loses. It doesn't. It just, I don't know. Just turns into another movie, like the same generic movie. So I have fun. Why it's perfect? No. I mean, we all know I enjoy kind of the schlock. I enjoy the fun. Dan, why are you judging me?
No, I just thinking, is it perfect?
No.
No.
Is it?
No, it is not perfect. I think we can all agree on
but
that.
I mean, because I guess because to tie it to, because I mean, looking into it, because
I
I,
liked
I
it.
didn't
You
see
don't
this
have to
movie
like it,
until
but-
2020.
But I like it.
So
I like this movie. You don't have to like this movie.
for people who haven't listened, they make fun of me.
How many times have you seen this movie?
No.
This is your second time?
I've seen
this
it.
is a serious
No,
question.
I've seen it a few times.
Okay,
but
okay.
like in its completion, only a few. Because like I said, it's always on Pluto TV.
Trying to get like.
I know.
Why
I
are
see
we
it.
plugging Pluto?
We're trying to get
I see
an
it in
endorsement.
chunks. I see.
Hey, we love Pluto.
I see it in chunks all the time. But it's. I mean the
Like microwave dog chunks.
yeah. I know. No, just what I'm. Because okay,
I think we've thrown
so
him
no.
off.
So what I was saying is because I
Keep
didn't
it
know this.
brief.
I didn't know because apparently when this film came out, I mean, no surprise, it got a bunch. It got mostly negative reviews when it came out. But
What?
yeah, but
How?
Okay, just rate. Are you stalling because you don't know what your item
because
is?
all of you keep interrupting me when I'm trying to talk.
So go ahead, Travis.
Now you know how it
we
feels.
already mentioned my item, but I'm gonna say it again.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it 4.
Stop.
You stop right now.
4.1.
That doesn't make it any
You're
better. He's like,
giving
hold
that
on.
movie 4.1.
No, it's more like a 3.8.
That's still,
No.
that's
That
so-
is
Commit.
I know.
Yeah.
wildly.
3.9.
That is
Commit.
wildly high.
Okay,
go ahead.
Sorry. Do what you were gonna say.
Do you think, cuz?
Can you just
Yeah,
can you
what's
just
your
do it?
what's your thing? Do your thing, man.
It's Pam Greer's.
Wait. So what's your number?
Pam Greer's
You
what?
went 3 numbers.
Oh, I'm gonna go with.
Pam-
4.1.
I'm gonna average it. I'm gonna go
Pam Greer's
3.9.
Pam Greer's what?
No, because I'm just saying the
Pam
whole
Grier's.
joke,
Pa-
the whole
Pam
Pam
Grier.
Grier joke.
So it's 3.9 Pam Greers out of 5.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Are
fair.
we, Frank? Tell me now. Are we gonna?
If you have no
Is it in the
taste.
lineup? Are we ever?
No, if we do a second
Are we
Urban
ever
Legend, I'm
covering
walking
the
out.
sequel for this movie?
No.
Not this season.
Thank
maybe
ever.
maybe in a while.
I feel like we should, because I feel like, Dan, you and I might have the same alignment.
So just
With
talk at the
story?
same time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
at
I
the same
think it
Ready,
time.
should
set,
be-
go.
Him and then
I
me
think we
and
may.
then Frank and then you.
I think we might.
Okay.
He gave away his score already. We know he didn't like
Me
it.
and then you and
No,
then
I
you and then
didn't.
me and then
And
me
then
and
you
then
and
you.
I
You and me and
questioned
people
your
we know.
score. Absolutely.
Because you were like, this movie's an perfect 5.
Okay, can I talk in a woman talk?
Go ahead. You can talk
Did you guys hear
in
something?
Can you finish making my sandwich while you're doing it, though?
Joni.
Frank.
Mean.
Don't tell Joni, please.
Well, she
All right.
listens to
Oh,
the
that's
podcast.
true. She does.
To the
Oh.
podcast.
too late.
Sam, you
Go
may
ahead, Sam.
speak now.
I think
Thank
you
you
and I are
for
going to
giving
be.
me permission.
I do think we're going to be on the same.
I like the idea of them using the urban legends as like a kill point.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately for me, I feel
Get
like
out of here. I'm just kidding.
what the hell was that for?
I don't know.
He doesn't even know the jokes he's. Okay, anyway, so I feel like the character arcs and the story itself are weak. It could have done a lot more, and I feel like if they had spent more time, it could have been really great. And like I said before, I feel like the kills were inconsistent and all that stuff, so it was a lot. Yeah, I just didn't like the drop after the Parker scene, and the intensity just wasn't there. I feel like it shouldn't be a franchise, but again, here we are with like how many of them are there?
There's
4?
3.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like they needed that. So overall, I'm gonna give it a 2.5 Drano powder out of 5.
Nice.
I like it.
That's
Thank you.
great.
All right,
I like
Frank,
that.
go ahead.
I think this movie is a movie. And
Whoa.
I'm
Is
definitely
it a movie or a
not
film?
stalling for time
Nick Stahl.
because I like pop rocks and I like the movie. I have to agree with you. I like the idea of using urban legends as like frameworks for the kills. The acting's not fairly strong throughout, but I think there's a couple of good performers in here for sure. Rebecca Gayheart, Jared Leto's decent. And I really like Michael Rosenbaum, Parker. He, by the way, if you ever watch Smallville, best Superman interpretation so far, and he does a great Lex Luthor for 8 seasons.
That's why he looked familiar to me.
Yes, he's
I haven't seen it, but I
fantastic.
know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I thought that, and I just looked it up right now as we were. I apparently the director not pushed, but kind of leaned into not having as much on-screen violence, and I think that definitely takes away some of the teeth of this movie. It needed more. I understand you say that, like, you know, what we don't see is horrific, and I agree, but also I feel like there's like a bit of an edge that's shaved off from how far they went with, you know, avoiding the violence.
I agree.
Yeah.
If you're going, and I agree, because if you're going with like, oh, these are how the urban legends are killing the people, you need to see that, and
little bit, yeah.
and they need to exaggerate it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's
I agree.
I think that's probably one aspect that really brings it down for me. The other, obviously, the acting. I still think it's fun. The acting in a campy sort of way, it kind of works itself. But I think Rebecca Gayheart really, like, she really bears the weight of this movie on her
Agreed.
shoulders. Because without her, that ending wouldn't work really for me.
I agree.
With that said, though, I still think there's enough there that I'll rewatch it. It's got some moments that are iconic. The cold open is really cool, and I like the like tributes to horror as a whole. So I would give this a very, how can I say this?
Generous.
A generous, yes, thank you. A generous 3.7 out
Wow.
of 5. 3.7 back seats out of 5.
How many times have you seen it?
A good few, maybe like 5 or 6. It's not my favorite. It's not my go-to, but
Right.
it's still like, it's got its place in horror history. So I was like, we do need to cover it. It's a part of horror.
It's an
history.
urban legend.
Yes.
All right, Dan. All right, Dan.
I think I'm
Dan.
not gonna repeat everything. I do agree with Sam. I think Sam and I are pretty much on the same page. I think there was a lot of meat left on the bone. I really do. I think it's an interesting idea, and I don't think it was well mined as far as really getting everything out of it. And I think one of the more obvious things, although I do agree with you, even I'm not going to backtrack what I said, but I think you're right. This movie could have used more gore, and that we could have used seeing a little bit more of what actually was happening, in the kills. But I do think the biggest problem with that movie is that I think the character development of the characters is not strong. The journey is not strong. The arcs are not strong. They're stock characters with no, there's just no body to it. You don't feel any real sense of journey with these characters and their relationships.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're just kind of going from one kill to the next. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't any mystery and that we're not following a bit of a mystery, but just because of the lack of all the character development, you just don't care. I didn't care about anybody, and that's the fault of the writing. So having said all that, I had fun.
5 out of 5.
I did have fun. It's
4.2.
not like I sat there going, "Oh my God, this wire me drag." No, I just kept hoping for so much more than I ever got. And I agree with you. I think Gayheart just,
Carries this.
you just have to give her the trophy and say thank you for being in this movie because you really did carry it. I'm going to give it 2.5
Oh, wow.
microwave dogs
Oh, okay.
out of 5.
All right.
Dan, you know what I noticed you don't do anymore? It was a lot in the beginning. I guess you were still getting used to these movies. Was you'd watch? I've told this story before, but you'll watch the movie, and I always know because the next day I'll get a call from you, and you'll be like, "You picked this movie, didn't you?"
There's no more of that.
You were Frank. I don't get that anymore.
I have sort of backed off on that.
He's accepted it.
That was like a season 1.
Yeah.
That was
and
season 1, Dan.
I think I've just become more accepting
I
of the
think-
journey that we're on.
And you know what? You know what? I think you accepted it, and actually, it was the last time you called me. Resident Evil.
Damn.
After that, you just accepted it. You're like, well, it can't get any worse than this.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
Yeah, that movie didn't fly.
No, it's
No,
sword.
the elevator got stuck. So
Like that zombie
Cool.
dog.
But I will say
with
though, this
pizza.
this was a really, really fun conversation about this movie and urban legends, and I had a great time. So,
well, you're not coming back next week. So
Well, I'm
what's-
glad we could be of service to you, Dan.
well, thank you. It's gonna
All
have to
right.
last me 2 weeks. What is our next movie, Frank?
Ooh. Speaking of do your thing, cuz the next movie
I'm not
we're
doing
gonna
that.
we're hitting our first remake of a movie we've already seen.
Is it Texas?
Yeah, we're doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003.
yeah,
Is that with Jessica Biel? No.
Yes,
Yes, it
Platinum
is.
Dunes.
Yes,
Ooh,
it is.
I have not
It's the
seen that one.
it's
I'm
the-
excited.
It's
though.
the
That's-
Michael Bay produced.
I will just say this about the movie. When we did the first 2 Chainsaw movies last year, I was with my son. We were having dinner, and I was telling him what we were doing. He said, "Oh yeah, which one was it? Was it the one with Jessica Biel?" I said, "No, it was the original and the one from 2021 or 22." He goes, "Okay, that's good because that one's not very good."
Oh, damn.
Well, Dan, Michael
So,
Bay.
I
Michael
can't
Bay,
wait to hear
I'm
what
just
you
gonna
have
say
to
this.
say.
So there's a little preface.
Dan,
Little
Michael
setup.
Bay produced it, so you're going to see a lot of exploding chainsaws. And with that, we'll see you
with
all
that,
next week.
Please follow us, like us, share us, write a good review. We love doing this, and we want you to love sharing it with your friends. Until then, I'm Dan.
I'm Travis.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Man Wilson.
Why do you keep saying that?
And this is Strangers in the Alps, a slasher podcast.
Frank.
We are out.